Hey guys, welcome to episode 19 of the Blue Mouse Podcast. My name's Emily. I'm the full-time knitwear designer behind the Blue Mouse. You can find me under that same name on Instagram and Ravelry. So it's been a few weeks. I'm really happy to be back with you and be able to chat about knitting again, and I hope that you guys are all doing well and have cozied up somewhere with a knitting project or a crochet project. I'm really excited to share some things, some progress that I've made on some projects and a few finished objects as well. So if you don't know, this is a knitting podcast with a little bit of a focus on knitwear design because that is my full-time job. So yeah, let's just get started. I don't know how many projects I have because I just didn't lay them out or even check before I got started for this. So I'll begin with the one that is probably the most recent one and one I'm very, very excited about. So I don't quite know how to show this to you, but this is part of my sweater so far. It looks kind of ridiculous, but it'll fit a lot like this. So it's got kind of a garter edging. And so this is the shoulder right here, and it comes down into a V-neck, which you can't see very well, but it comes down into a V-neck. And then I joined for the fronts, and right now I'm doing the backs. So what I did is I used a provisional cast on, and I cast on and worked the fronts individually, and then I joined them down here at the base of the V-neck, and then just finished working them until I got to the armhole depth that I wanted. And then I turned around and I picked up my provisional cast on and I'm working the other way. So I'm working down the back. So yeah, I am writing this one first. So before I start working on a part of it, I will write it and do the math and grade it for all 15 sizes before I start knitting it. So that's something I think I've only done maybe once or twice before. So usually I will knit up a sample and then do the math for all the other sizes afterwards because I want to see if it works first. But with this, I really just wanted to have all the grading done when I finish my sample. So by the time that I'm done with this sample, I'll be done with the pattern and I can send it off to be tested. So that's exciting. It means that I don't have to dread the end of the project because that means I have to do all the math. But it also means that it's a little bit slower going because I have to, do all the math as I go. So if I didn't have to do that, I probably would be nearly finished with this project because it's so quick. I'm using, let me grab a full one. I'm using a yarn that I talked about in the last podcast but didn't get to show you. It's Gilead, and I've heard someone pronounce the company name De Rerum Natura. I know I'm not saying that right. Please just, I know. I'm not French and it's a French company. So yeah, I have seen people use this yarn. I had actually seen Melody of Bee Mandarins use this a few times, and I was really curious about it because I'm kind of getting more into natural wools versus superwash. I still love superwash yarn and indie dyed skeins, but there's starting to develop a love in my heart, especially for just more natural wools. And I believe it's a worsted weight, and it's just knitting up so quickly. I'm knitting it on US, I believe 10s, which is a 6mm. So you get quite a lofty gauge and it just feels amazing. It's already very soft. It doesn't feel like a cashmere blend. So if you're expecting the softness of cashmere or mohair, that's not quite what you're gonna get, but it does feel very, very soft for something that's non-superwash and it's just very natural. So yeah, I can already tell that this is going to be amazing as a finished product. I can't wait to wear it. The idea originally was to have some intarsia in here. So I was gonna have the front neckline Like here's down to the shoulder and here's the neckline. I was gonna have the inside triangle kind of be a different color, but the first time I was knitting it up, I didn't really like the colors together, and I figured that not that many people enjoy intarsia. I did a quick search on Ravelry to find intarsia patterns, and there aren't as many as normal colorwork patterns or color blocked patterns. I just don't think it's as popular. So, and I get that. It's intimidating to start off with, and if your tension is wrong or your tension is just a little bit too loose, maybe that's just to meet gauge or whatever the reason, then it doesn't look as neat and clean as a lot of people might like it. So I just decided to scrap that idea and keep going in the charcoal. And I will be joining in this color to go with it. This will be the bottom third of the sweater will be in this color, and the sleeves will be in this color. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. Hoping to have it done in about a week. I finished writing the back panels. I just have to knit them, and then it's just in the round for the body until you get to that bottom third, and then I change colors, and then it's just the sleeves. It knits up so quickly on these needles, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. This is my first time doing this kind of construction. I have never started at the shoulders and gone down and then picked up and gone down the other side. Something I've never done. I've done bottom up, where you do the front pieces in sections and then join them at the shoulders, but never the reverse. So trying to figure out the short rows was a little interesting. It took me not that long, but it definitely took me a second to like wrap my head around doing them, because it's upside down of what you do when you do bottom up. So anyway, I did just put a video out on why we do shoulder shaping, if you're interested in learning about that. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot to show now. I know it just kind of looks weird at the moment, but once I finish working the back and I join it with the front, it'll look better. So this is more what it looks like with the shoulders here. But as soon as I join the fronts with the backs, it'll be much more noticeable as a sweater. So a very simple construction, very simple design, but it was definitely a little bit challenging for me to learn to design because I'd never done this construction before. So I'm enjoying that one a lot. I love working with the yarn. It must have lanolin in it because it just feels amazing on my hands as I'm knitting it. So gotta love that aspect of it. And another one that I have going, which you will have seen before. This is my sample of my Walhalla sweater, which will be coming out very soon. But I had to redo the sample because I messed up the first one. So I am nearing the bottom of the body, and then it's just the sleeves, which I always think are gonna go by super quickly, and then they seem to take ages, but I'm gonna work them on 12-inch circulars, which I find are very fast and efficient for working sleeves. So here's what I have so far for the sample, and you can see the front detail. Maybe you can't. You kind of can, but it kind of goes like this at the top, then plain, and then back. So it's like a big diamond. You can see that it's shaped there, and then you start going the other direction when you're working the body. So that shaping just gives it kind of extra detail in the front, and yeah, it's gonna have a little bit of collar, so probably, I think it's 1.5 inches of kind of a raised collar, which I like, or raised neckline, whatever you want to call that. So nothing really new here. I've shown this to you guys a few times, and the yarn that I used is Dyed Up by Jake at Ken Yarn, and this is our collaboration that we've been working on for a little while. It's already in testing, so it will be out soon, and he's putting together kits for it that we'll have ready. And yeah, I'm excited to see more of my testers' finished products because a few of them have started posting photos, and it's very exciting. So yeah, I'll be sharing more about this in a few weeks. All I'm doing right now is just trying to finish my sample in time to get photos. Anyway, that is that. And then, oh, I did finish another object I forgot about. I'll show you that later. But I am doing a gauge swatch for, oh man, what is that shawl called? It's by Sophia McFadden or Elizabeth McFadden. I'll have to look it up. It's like, oh, it's the Waiting for Rain shawl. I believe by Sylvia McFadden. That's who it is. So a friend of mine is getting married at the start of May, right before me and my family leave for, or me and my in-laws leave for our trip. So she's getting married at the beginning of May, and she wanted a shawl because she saw me wear mine to my wedding and wanted one similar but a little bit different. So I'm working on a gauge swatch for that shawl. And I believe now we only have like, what, 4 more weeks till that happens? 5 more weeks? So I gotta kind of pick up the pace a little bit. But here is the start of my swatch for it. And I've learned a lot about swatching in the past few weeks, which I think I'll do a video on at some point. But I'll link one below by Christy Glass, who did a video with, oh, who is it? Patty Lyons. Patty Lyons did a video with her all about swatching, and I realized I had been doing it all wrong this whole time. So my gauge swatches were way too small. This is more the size it should be. I still have some rows to add to it, but the width is correct. And she gave links to this kind of cast on that you only use for swatches, which I don't know if you can see. It looks like there's a string in it. It almost looks like you have it on waist yarn, but you don't. But that way it doesn't get pulled, like it doesn't pucker. And then when you're done, you don't bind off, you just place it on waist yarn. So that way you don't have any puckering at the cast on edge or any puckering at the bind off edge. So I'll show you another example of a swatch I did for that other sweater I showed you using the Gilead yarn. So this is the swatch. It's huge, so much bigger than any I had done in the past. Like the ones I'd done in the past were like this big, and this is the new one. So it takes a little bit more time, but I'm confident now that my gauge in my swatch will match my finished item. And that's always what I want. It's so disheartening to knit up a pattern or knit up something and block it at the end and you're like, this is not the right size. Why is this not the right size? And the answer is because you probably made your swatch too small. So what Patty Lyons was saying in the video is that your swatch should be, or should look and act as if you had just cut it out of your finished product. So it needs to be big, and don't do garter edging. She was very specific about that. I've always done garter edging on my swatches. I thought it was the way to go, but she says that because garter behaves differently, that it will pull your knitting, and if you do garter edging on the ends, then it'll pull it down and make it like squattier, so your row gauge won't be correct. And if you do it at the bottom and the top, I believe it makes your stitches not as wide as they would be. So learned a lot from that video. I'm hoping to compile that and a few other things in a video of my own to kind of just give you, 10 tips or something on how to make a better swatch. And I know people really hate swatching, and this seems like a lot of work, but I don't know, it gives me peace of mind, and it really didn't take very long. So to me, that's worth it. But anyway, I have to finish this. I need to change my needle size because the one in the pattern, I don't think I'm gonna get gauge with. So I'll block it first, but then I think I'm gonna have to knit up another swatch in another needle size. But anyway, I think I only have one more. And it has grown quite large since the last time I showed this to you. This is that baby blanket that I'm making for a friend of mine who is due, I think, in exactly a month. So I have reached my middle point. This is how, I don't know if you can see it, this is how wide one end will be. So it's going to be a square. So this will be pretty much how all of them will be. But yeah, I've reached my middle point. I've increased as much as I'm going to, pretty much. I have a few more rows, but then I just start decreasing and it gets faster and faster. So this is, I love this yarn, or no, sorry, I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby in the colorway Lime Dot. So this is just what it looks like. It's twisted rib and garter. It's incredibly soft, and I love using this yarn for gifts for people for their newborn babes. So yeah, not a whole lot of new progress on that. I've kind of set it aside while starting this new pattern. But yeah, I think that's everything that I have for whips. The only acquisitions that I had was that Gilead yarn, and you've already seen that knit up in a pattern, so I don't really feel the need to show it to you. But yeah, just a couple more FOs and then we're done. So I'll start out with the smallest little sweater. This is the Itty Bitty Pretty Sweater, I think it is, by Mason Dean. And I finally finished it. I blocked it and I wove in all my ends. It is ready to go. This is gonna be a gift to go with that baby blanket I just showed you for a friend of ours. So here's what it looks like. I used a one-of-a-kind colorway from Hello Stella in a fingering weight, and I did alternate skeins. In the beginning I did not, but it pooled quite a bit, and even, you can see a little bit, it just kind of tended to stack on itself, even with alternating skeins. But I love the way that it came out. I don't think that there's any crazy pooling. It just is fairly normal. So yeah, it's this tiny, tiny little sweater that will be gifted to some friends of ours in a few weeks. And the next FO I have is another hat, which is a new pattern coming out soon, I promise. I just need to get it edited and then I'll get to it eventually. I'm very behind on everything. But it's the same as the one I'm wearing, but in a fingering weight. So this is using, I believe, Composition Book Gray from Madeline Tosh in one of her sock bases. Just the most normal sock base, I believe. So I'm not going to try it on because it fits exactly like this one, but just with a lighter weight. So I love these. I can't wait to take these on my vacation in May because they're just so cozy. They go with everything, and I love the style of just a basic 2x2 rib hat. So those are my two starter FOs. And then the last one that I have is the Little Twig Sweater by Bee Mandarines. Did you ever think I would finish this? Because I kind of didn't think I would, but I got there in the end. It's done. It hasn't been blocked, but all of my ends have been woven in. And I was going to block it before I showed you, but I was having some tension issues that I think are going to block out, and I think I know how to fix. But I went on her, the project pages on this pattern, and I saw quite a few other people had this issue, and so I wanted to show you what is kind of wrong with mine at the moment and how I'm going to fix it. And then if it works, I'll show it to you next episode. But do you see how this is all kind of puckered? I don't know how well you can see it, but do you see how it just kind of looks puckery? But it's very bumpy in the front, and how I think I'm gonna fix it. Let me see if I can show you. So there's strands here that are part of these twigs that she calls them. So what I think I'm going to do is just kind of go around and pull on them to fix the tension, because that pulls the back stitches tighter, which gives them the tension that they should have. And if I do that to every single one, it should give me the correct tension. I think the reason that it's puckering is that when I drew the yarn in front across all of those slip stitches, that the last stitch I knit and the next stitch that I knit were very loose. And so that's what's creating that kind of puckering, is that the strand in front is getting pulled tight and the stitches on either end of it are very loose. So if I pull on each of them to tighten up those stitches and loosen up the strand, that the sweater will relax and block out. I hope. We'll see. That is my goal. I saw quite a few other projects that were this way. And if you have made this sweater and you didn't end up with that problem, I don't know how, but that's amazing. So yeah, that is what my goal and hope with this is that when I block it, it will block out better. So for example, this one I pulled out all to tighten up the stitches, and while it doesn't look as nice as this at the moment, I think it will once I block it, because it's loose because I just tugged in all of them, but once I block it and it kind of relaxes, it should work. So we'll see. We'll definitely have to see on that. But I wanted to show that to you in case you have made this sweater, or you're about to cast on the sweater, or maybe someone's watching this at a later date who's working on the sweater, because when I got to this part of the yoke, I thought I had really messed it up and that I wasn't going to be able to fix it. And that was disheartening to want to, keep going because of that issue. So I'll let you know how it goes, but I'm thinking that that will fix it. And it should lay a lot flatter and not pucker. So yeah, that's all I have to share with you guys today. I have some exciting things I'm starting that will hopefully have more progress on them next week. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll get into probably a little bit about my life if you want to hear about that and stick around for a chat. Otherwise, that's all the knitting content, if that's what you're here for. I hope to see you in the next episode. But for those of you who do stick around, I want to thank you all for your lovely, kind messages on my Instagram post, and those of you who have just sent me messages anyway, wishing me well and wishing me to get better. I am feeling quite a lot better than I was, and a lot better than, the past 2 months. So I'm very grateful for all your well wishes and your kind messages, and to everyone who's been patient and waiting on me to answer your emails. I'm very behind. I'm going to try and get to all my tester emails today and plan out the next pattern releases, because I have 3 in the queue that are finished testing and just need final touches, photos, and to be released. So that's my goal for the rest of today. I'm sorry I'm so behind, and thank you all so much for understanding. I'm very, very grateful to be feeling better and to be able to get back to work. I feel like this is the first day I've been able to concentrate and to get work done in months. And that's amazing. I'm a workaholic, if you don't know me. And so not getting to work drives me crazy. I love it. I love my job. I love working as much as I can. Any free time I have, I'm working. So yeah, I'm very, very happy for that. And other than that, there's not a whole lot else going on, which I feel like I say every week. But yeah, final touches on our travel plans, which are coming up so fast. We're leaving in, I believe, 5 weeks maybe? Yeah, 5 weeks, and just have to book the final Airbnbs, and I want to lock down kind of a very loose itinerary day by day, things that we don't have to do, but knowing what's nearby if we want to do them, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of person I am. It drives me crazy to spend a lot of time and savings to go somewhere, and the thought of being close to a really cool spot and not knowing about it and missing it because I didn't do my research, that idea like drives me crazy. So I do a ton of research to try and find all the amazing places nearby that we might want to see. So yeah, very excited about that. Can't believe how quickly it's coming up. Kind of anxious about how quickly it's coming up, but it'll be very fun. So yeah, I have a concert that I'm going to on Monday. I don't know if any of you know who Novo Amor is, but he's like our favorite artist. He's a lot like Bon Iver, which we might also be going to see on Sunday. We haven't decided. Probably not, but maybe. It's that very similar style of music, and it's just kind of calm, folky, very soothing music that I love. We used quite a few of his songs in our wedding. I think what the bridal party walked out to was one of their songs, and the one that was at the, I don't know what the song is when you've been married and you walk back down the aisle. We walked down to one of his songs as well. So we're big fans, and we booked this months ago, and we're going with a good couple of friends of ours. So yeah, actually the same ones who are getting married that I'm knitting the wedding shawl for. So yeah, that'll be fun. Lots of work this weekend. I'm hoping to just catch up as much as I can and answer as many emails and messages as I possibly can. I am horrible at Instagram DMs. So if you've ever messaged me on Instagram, I am so sorry. I've probably missed it. I just get a lot, and I try, but I get very overwhelmed. And so I prioritize other things over it that need to be answered first. And a lot of times Instagram will kind of delete the number. So the numbers will go down, and it will stop saying that you have that unread message. It'll still have like the dot next to it so that you know it's unread, but it gets buried, and then the number disappears so that it will say you have less messages than you actually have, which happens a lot. So if I start answering some and there are some more at the bottom, Instagram will push them down and the number will disappear. So I'm sorry, I'm very bad at it. I don't know that I'll ever get better at it, but if it's something important that you need answered, please email me. I'm much better at that than I am at DMs. Not these past 2 months, but I'm getting back into it. So yeah. And if you've ever had that with other people on Instagram, I'm sure the same thing happens to them where messages just get buried. Other than that, there's not a whole lot else to share. I've got work to tackle for the rest of the day, and then it's just date night and more work tomorrow. So it's what I love, and I'm happy to be back to it. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and for subscribing. It's so fun to see how many people there are. There's now almost 4,000 of you, which is so cool. Thank you so much for sticking around and subscribing and watching my podcasts. I hope to see you guys in the next episode.